Let's do this thing.
Do you want me to launch it?
This is your baby, Bill.
Let's do it. So welcome to Thursday Flash Club, where Nina, Leah, and I get together and we read a mentor piece, a piece of flash fiction that one of us finds interesting. We look at some of the craft elements of that piece, and then we jump into a little writing exercise, trying to work in some of that, some of those craft elements that we saw in our mentor piece. Today, I have chosen Otters at the Zoo by Christopher Allen, which is going to be very exciting because, well, I'm going to say that I don't know spoilers for the piece, but I'll save it afterwards because this piece really spoke to me about where I'm at right now um, in my life this week. So, um,
Interesting.
yeah,
Oh, so many sparks just went off.
yeah.
Okay.
Christopher Allen is the editor in chief and publisher of Smoke Long Quarterly. He's been teaching for over 30 years. He's recently been leading workshops on writing compelling flash fiction. His work has been published in over 100 publications, including The Best Small Fictions 2019 and 2022, Booth, Split Lip, and Flash Fiction America. His collection of flash titled Other Household Toxins came out in 2018. And he's tortured me with two personal rejections, which is which which is lovely. And so I love Smoke Long. It is something I've like a goal of mine to someday have something in mind in Smoke Long. So I'm not gonna hide that. Um, and I think he's probably also tortured some of the other people in our little coven here of writers. Um, You can find more of his flash at ChristopherAllenWright.com. That's where he lives out in the internet. So anybody who's interested in reading more of his flash or connecting with him or looking into the workshops he's having, ChristopherAllenWrights.com. So um, today we're reading, everybody has a copy of Otters at the Zoo.
Yes, sir.
Stefan, do you want to read tonight or do you want us to,
Sure.
in the past, it's been, okay, great. So I'm not going to read tonight then. I'll let the three of you handle it. Nina, you want to launch us off and take us up to, you can finish with Tucks into a Sandwich. And then Leah, if you don't mind, beginning at My Imaginary Son's Obsession. And you can read through Imaginary, but No Imaginary Son. And then Stefan, you'll pick up at Have You Seen a Kid and finish the piece for us there.
Wait.
Wait, wait.
Oh, see. Okay. But no
Have
imaginary
you?
fun.
Yeah.
And she's stopping at tucks into his sandwich. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Leah, you'll begin at My Imaginary Son's Obsession
Cool.
and stop at But No Imaginary Son.
Thank you.
Or whenever the mood strikes you.
Perfect. Am I ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Count me in. Okay. Otters at the Zoo by Christopher Allen. First published in X-Ray, September 13th, 2021. My imaginary son is learning about otters in imaginary third grade. He has to write a report. I think he's a bit young for reports, but his imaginary teacher, Mrs. Florida, thinks otherwise. 200 words, due Monday. So I plan a trip to the imaginary zoo, though my imaginary son says the fastest way to learn about otters is the internet. He spends all his internet time reading about sea otters. He's an official member of the Otter Appreciation Society. Did you know he says that otters can talk? He whistles, growls, says he's learning Otterish. Says he doesn't have time for a zoo when he's got 42,689 search results to get through for all things otter. But the fresh air, I say, the snake house, churros. Nah, he says. There'll be imaginary sea otters, I say. Real ones. He's already in the car. My imaginary son is just big enough to sit in the front without his imaginary car seat. He buckles up, smiles like that click is the most adult thing in the world, and maybe it is. He asks how far the imaginary zoo is, and I say it's 7 carrot sticks and that tuna fish sandwich in his imaginary backpack. He tucks into the sandwich.
My imaginary son's obsession with sea otters is nothing new. Ever since he hatched from my thigh, he's been a little otter fellow. I allow it. A boy needs a hobby. I collected stamps. Did you know, he munches, that 90% of sea otters live on the coast of Alaska? I didn't, I say, and he says, we live in Delaware. A shame, I say. Where do the other 10% live? Did you know, he says, they store food in their armpits? That's gross, I say. Super gross, he says, like super gross is the best thing ever. The imaginary zoo is hopping today. It's the birth of Wen, the imaginary panda. It's been all over the news. We're waiting to enter the imaginary panda pavilion when I spot the churros cart. I'm starving, and we've been waiting in the queue for what seems like a million carrot sticks, so I tell my imaginary son to hold our place while I grab us churros. I return with the most aromatic imaginary confection to the same queue, the same panda pavilion, but no imaginary son.
Have you seen a kid? Have you seen a kid? I say to the parents in the queue. This is a zoo, someone says. It's an ocean of kids. He's 8, I say. Looks like a miniature me. Like this, I say, and squish my cheeks up into my imaginary son's goofy face. You left your kid, someone says, for churros? I run up and down the queue. Have you seen my kid? Getting only judgmental glares for taking my eyes off him for 4 seconds. But then I hear him beyond a cobblestone path. He's jumping up and down, squealing otterish on a platform made for kids so they can traumatize the sea otters below. He settles when he sees me, knows I'm not the kind of dad who'd haul off or why I oughta. He knows I'm just grateful for every moment he decides to stay. Did you know, he says, that otter mothers leave their babies floating on the water when they look for food? He takes a churro from the bag, and it may be the cinnamon and sugar dusting the air between us, but I feel a breeze of something real, something unfamiliar, like, I don't know, but that's just it, isn't it? I don't know. Why is that? I ask. Their fur's too thick, he says. They can't swim underwater, but they float great. He smiles and throws an imaginary fish to the otters below. The end.
Very nice. Very nice. So this is the part of our club where we do some noticings. Does anybody have anything that jumps to mind?
The repetition of imaginary paired with the very, very concrete details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That imaginary thing is a big part of why I picked this piece. Because I like, one, it's playful at first. I'll just say it. I'll go with what I felt about the imaginary detail, the imaginary son. Playful gives us a rule to try not to figure this out, to try not to figure out the logistics of this guy's life and his son. It does that thing where it gives the narrator permission to tell the truth indirectly. Like he never has to say, I wish I had a son. I'm afraid of losing a son. You know, it's all just my imaginary son.
Mm.
But what I really like most for me about it is how the feeling of the word changed throughout the story. I mean, at first, like I said, it was playful. It's not real. But when he loses his son, the absence feels real, even though it's an imaginary son. And by the end, the emotional reality of it has overtaken like the literal reality. Like the son might be imaginary, but this love that's being described isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I have
I
some notes.
noticed that this was kind of funny. I enjoyed a couple of the humorous points. I really liked the line "super gross." He says like "super gross" is the best thing ever because like
Yeah,
you can see a kid saying that super gross.
yeah.
And then there was a couple lines later like "squish my cheeks up and imaginary sun's good." I couldn't not do that like when I'm reading that. Couldn't imagine not doing it. So yeah, I thought this was funny. It was comical. It was a cute story. It wasn't negative. The imagination wasn't despairingly longing. It was whimsical. That's what I noticed.
Carrot sticks was another one. Telling time in carrot sticks. I loved. Love that bit.
Yeah, that's great.
Nina, you were going to say something. You were going to throw something in there.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I thought were so interesting. Um, so Stefan, I had like a yes, there's a whimsical nature to this story, right? Because there's a language, there's a child's language here, which I
Hmm.
think has been captured so well. And I think that like that living, breathing child on the page that isn't real creates like this feeling of longing and grief
Yeah,
that's so profound. And so I just wanted to so yes, I totally agree with you that there's a lightness to this and that warmth and that sense of play, but that almost doubles down on the grief for me.
yeah. I can imagine that this is some father who maybe his son died a long time ago, and he's imagining this scene this one day, or maybe the son has never been alive. But yes, the story itself is happy and fun, and it gives that exact air. But I did at several times notice that like undercurrent of there definitely is a longing here.
Yeah.
Can
I
I piggyback real quick onto this to tell you guys why I chose this story personally?
Great.
I
Sure.
alluded to this at the beginning. My twins are graduating high school on Sunday. So for me, I mean, this story is not about the thing it's about. It's not about otters. It's about like this loss, this separation, yeah. And so for me, I mean, it's playful and lighthearted. And when I talk about that word imaginary kind of changing by the end, yeah, it pulled at the heartstrings for sure.
Yeah,
Resonated.
I think the strength of this piece is that imaginary can be interpreted in so many different ways. Like an actual, loss of a child, or the growth of your child, or longing for a child that never was, or even the way I interpret it is as a mental divide between a parent. I've referenced this show so many times in Flash Club. It's so silly, but the show Atypical, which is about a child who, oh my God, what does he have? What is he? Has anybody watched Atypical? No, he's autistic. Um, but he has this fixation with penguins. And I mean, there are even parts in this that are like his obsession with otters began when he hatched at my leg. And he speaks to the kid in terms of things that otters like carrots. Um, and then what really got me was he's imaginary maybe this entire time because there's this disconnect between father and son, but at the very end, they share that moment, like a breeze of something real, something
Mm,
unfamiliar,
yeah.
something I don't know, but that's just it, isn't it? I don't know. And then it just ends with the kid saying another fact about otters. But I don't think that this is necessarily like it doesn't have to be a mental divide in terms of autism. I think it could just be a mental divide between a child and an adult. And maybe there's not always the connection there that they both want. That was,
Why do you think? Why do you think the narrator needs the son to be imaginary?
I don't know if it's so much that he needs him to be imaginary, that it is that maybe he feels he is, or the other way around.
That line you are referencing there, the where I feel the breeze, something real. I wrote underneath that. When I'm on the narrator sensing meaning he can't name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you guys know I'm a huge Murakami fan, and I did that whole presentation. I don't know if I told you. I don't know if you guys know this. Maybe you don't know it.
Mhm.
Um, but I did a presentation at ICFA on structural dissociation narratives, and it's the representation of the split self on the page. And so this really jumped out at me in that because I love these types of stories so much. Because so much of our fantasies, our personal meanderings, the things we long for, um, certainly in a lot of these structural dissociation narratives, they give equal weight to the fantasy, to the speculative, as they do to the reality. Because I think that's so important and like completely tender when people are vulnerable enough to put it on the page, um, because it makes it really profound to say, hey, this is like a deeply imagined life. I spend maybe more time here, in the same way that Bruce Holland Rogers story, um, about the dead son. Um, so those were in conversation to me, and it's kind of beautiful in a way to think about if this is a lost child. We don't know it's a lost child, but if it is a lost child, that it gives a life, a living, breathing, desirous life to a child, which is one of the most fatherly things, um, in many ways that we can do as parents, in terms of our loss, giving life to our loss. So anyway, so this was a profound story for me, but in that way that is so interesting to me of structural dissociation in narrative. Angela, you turned your camera on. I feel like you might have something to say. Oh, you're muted.
She
Any
doesn't.
notice? Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, I'm on. I don't know if I have anything to say. I just was agreeing with you. I thought that was really a good observation because it definitely is a story that's full of longing of some sort. And the repetition of imaginary is really effective, I think, just in terms of the syntax. And I think what I noticed about it as I was reading it is just how effectively, and I didn't look at it closely enough to count it up, but there's definite plot beats, and there's definite like even for such a short piece, you can really, there's definitely plot progression. And I feel like I need to look at it again to say, okay, first this happens and then this happens. And of course, the big moment at the end is he thinks he's lost, but then he goes and finds him again. So it definitely creates a real definitive story arc that kind of holds the thing together, I think. Like, why does it work as such a small piece? I think that's why.
Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of plot and arc and stuff, we often, or pretty much we always try to identify what was the hinge for us personally, where we saw the flash, some other just basic structural stuff, 638 words, first person present. Anybody want to speak to that? Why maybe present works so well here? Why is it past tense?
well, present gives life. Um, it gives that immediacy of of the living.
That
That
was
was
the
my
very that was the very word that I was thinking of. It's immediate. Like you, I think if you said it in a past tense, you would lose a lot of um, that twofold experience of it. It would become completely imaginary instead of it would become completely comical as opposed to having some grief, or it would become completely grief, cope as opposed to having some of the comic. I don't I kind of feel like the present allows both of those experiences to be at the same time, because if it's in the past, it's very definitive. Like that actually happened, and it's almost like you can't allow the uncertainty of the moment to participate in the story. Ooh, I just very like garbled my thoughts. I don't know what. And
No, I feel that. I'm picking up what you're laying down. We feel the anxiety and the gratitude in real time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
we
if it
feel
were all
that.
in the past, it would flatten.
Right. We have
Yeah.
this emotional uncertainty, which gives the piece power.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anybody want to take a stab at where they felt a hinge or two?
When he loses his son, that's where I think the hinge is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the line, I tell my imaginary son to hold our place while I grab us churros. Like, this was in our time. Oh, but now, oh, I'm gonna step away from that. And yeah, you come back and now he's gone. But I think that was the first like turn for me.
Yeah.
So in the past, I've been trying to find like the hinge of stories, and I'm realizing that there's often more than one. So for me in this piece, I agree with you, Leah, that for me that when he comes back, the same panda pavilion, but no imaginary sun, that's a real plot hinge for me. But I also, when I was trying to think about this, and I've read it quite a few times, I found a real emotional hinge as well. He knows I'm just grateful for every moment he decides to stay. I underlined that one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
How
So
about you?
the Volta I agree is the but no imaginary sun. That's the turn where everything, that's where the plot changes. And it's also where we get that impact of the double grief. So it's not just the him losing a son, imagining a son, but then he's imagining the lost son. So it's like it becomes exponential there emotionally. Um, and then in terms of structural dissociation, which I'm very familiar with, um, I think what you point out, Bill, he decides to stay and the breeze of something real. Those two things are so that's like that's the awareness of the fantasy,
Yeah.
right? That's the awareness of the outside world trying to be kept away. Um, so those were, that's the real Flash for me
Yeah.
in terms of like if we're identifying Flash.
Wait, you're saying when he the breath, the breeze, something real.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I didn't I that line stuck out to me. It has a different feel than the rest of the piece. I didn't really know what to do with it, but I think you might be onto something there because this thinking of it from that dissociation lens. I mean, by up until that point, maybe it stuck out for me. I had bought into the imaginary son. At that point in this story, it was no longer imaginary to me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like reality creeping back in,
Right.
but then it's pushed away.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so this creates a question for me because, and so I have a question for everybody. Um, Angela, did you ever work with Deb Marquardt?
Yeah, I did. Feels like
Um,
it was a long time ago.
yeah, she talks a lot about her genre being speculative nonfiction.
Mm.
And if Chris Allen were here, I would ask him, um, would you ever put a label of speculative nonfiction, meaning it starts in reality? It's very reality based, and the idea is like, what would my life, the sliding doors concept of
Hmm.
like what my life would be like if this were to happen, right? So it's speculative, more like psychologically speculative, as opposed to right, what we often think of as like fantasy
Right.
or
What
science
if we had
fiction.
jetpacks?
Yeah, right. No jetpacks, right?
No
Just
jet.
otters,
Right. Just
right?
just an imaginary son.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll find something in the chat for that.
yeah, maybe,
Maybe.
maybe.
I have one other bit about the piece before we go into the writing exercise that I wanted to ask you guys about was the line about him hatching from his thigh. I had to kind of do a double take on that when I was reading it. I felt a little resistance there when I was reading through the piece.
Say that again. What was the resistance?
Well, it's, you know, like ever since he hatched from my thigh.
Oh, okay, that's the line I didn't hear. That's the sentence I
Right.
didn't hear.
Oh.
Ever since he hatched from my thigh, and I stumbled a little bit there, and then when I like the second read, when I'm making notes and stuff, I was like, why that, and why not just ever since he was born? And I was wondering if anybody else felt like a little resistance there, and maybe what that line did to add to the story. Are we being asked to stop thinking about the sun as being real? Is it trying to extend the surface logic of the story? Or maybe that was just me during my read. I don't know if anybody else.
I noticed it, but I didn't get hung up on it too much. I think I allowed that to be just another element of the imaginariness rather than trying to create a realness or trying to understand it. I rolled with it. It didn't hang me up.
Is the hatching from the thigh a reference to perhaps budding as a reproductive system? So this is, I mean, we could look at it. I guess for context, I'm thinking about somebody I knew once who said that he was a gay man who didn't have a partner, and he's like, well, if I could, I would just bud. He would like do the reproduction of the budding, you know, and then have a child in that way. He wasn't sure of how else he was going to have a child in his life. But that kind of, to me, it was just that weird surreal moment of, and adding to the loneliness too, right? If here's a guy who's imagining hatching somebody from a thigh, potentially as an asexual reproductive act of budding, which is done by what? I don't know, some kind of crazy tiny little microscopic organisms that I don't know much about. Like this is a person who doesn't even imagine a partner.
Good point.
Exactly.
Good point. Yeah. Like
Right.
that.
How else would that boy arrive on the scene?
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well said.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. That's pretty creative. Like just that little tiny line. That line carries a lot of weight.
It's Flash. They all do, right?
I know, but
they're all supposed to. Yeah.
But for one moment, I'm going to admire that one line. Okay.
It's good. It's a good one. It's a good one. Would anybody else like to add anything about our noticings here before we move into the prompt?
I can't tell you how much I loved there'll be imaginary sea otters. I say real ones. That just like that was when like it's that I think that's that wonder, that childlike, the playfulness of it like filled me. Real ones. Yeah.
Real ones.
Mm-hmm.
The repetition of the did you know phrase too. The did you know, just spot on. Like he could not have captured a specific kind of child more accurately except through that phrase.
Learning Otterish. Kids get so obsessed about things, and he just dialed it in.
It's hard to write children, so this is really impressive.
Yeah.
I find it hard to write children, maybe so.
Good stuff.
All right, Bill, what have you got for it?
Okay, so where I love the repetition of the imaginary. So we're gonna try to smuggle that emotional evolution, what I felt at least was the emotional evolution of the imaginary son, starting off as playful and ending up as something a bit more. We're going to try to smuggle that into a little flash piece.
We're smuggling.
So he did it with my imaginary son. We're going to take the next, say 5 minutes, and I want you to write maybe 5 or so noun phrases. The extra key, the empty room, the blue suitcase, my imaginary son. Just come up with a list of noun phrases in the next 5 minutes or so. Okay? And here we go. Okay, that's 5 minutes. Everybody come on back. Got some noun phrases. For the next 20 minutes, I want you to pick one of those that you think speaks to you can work with. And I want you to repeat it 6 times. At the end, on your 6th repetition, it should mean something different than it does at the beginning. It should carry more weight. Does that make sense, or do you need examples? Or
So like anaphora. We're
yeah,
kind of repeating this and giving it new meaning with
right.
with each repetition, each turn
Right.
around the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Building emotional weight as it goes. I played with this morning and started off with the empty room used to annoy me. I stacked old boxes in the empty room. My mother asked me why I never used the empty room. Sometimes I stand in the doorway of the empty room. I left the light on in the empty room. Like, kind of doesn't exactly have to be anaphora, but this noun phrase should carry a different emotional weight at the end than it does at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. We're going 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is gonna be a longer one than we sometimes do. So we'll see you at 55. Caw, caw, caw.
Hey,
Hello.
yo.
Hello. Welcome back. How'd it go?
Good.
I gotta
Stefan, do you want to talk about how it went for you?
Sure. I had the noun phrase was that one star you can see from the closet. That was like the whole big long phrase, but it just ended up being shortened to that one star throughout the time. And I did get to like sort of like you said, a juxtaposition of what it means. So between the first one and the last one. So it's fun.
Good. How about you, Nina? You're smiling.
Oh, I chose the phrase if I had an alive grandmother. And then I followed that into an alive grandfather and an alive cousin. And there was a whole family reunion, which was actually really lovely to be spending time with them.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Angela or Leah, would you guys you don't have to, but do you want to share anything about what you wrote?
Mine was the garden behind my house, and I don't know, it went through the evolution of a garden growing and then the opposite.
Cool.
There's something there, yeah.
Good.
What about you, Belle? Did you get anything?
The extra key. The extra key that lives in the kitchen junk drawer. I see every time I searching for chopsticks and twisty ties, and at the end it kind of evolves into the loss of the previous owner of that key, and how it's hard to get rid of that key.
Mm.
Yeah. Angela?
I will admit that I also got done. I had 6 like segments kind of early. I had like 6 repetitions of it, and so I paused and I then made a submission. So I used this
Good.
time to do something else too.
First rule of Flash Club is you don't have to That's from way back. You don't have to write on the prompt. You can write whatever you want, whatever you're
And
working
it
on.
was
Yeah.
cool.
Cool. Well,
Wait, did
thanks for
Angela?
reading.
Hold on. Did we hear from Angela? Did you want to? I saw you unmuted.
What am I saying? Sorry, what am I contributing right now?
Do you want to share about anything that you worked on in the past 20 minutes? You don't have to, but would you like to speak
Um,
to what you did?
sure. Do you want me to read it? It's really short. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, we love it.
Please.
Okay. He should have bailed out, Drew says. Drew is 13. His blonde hair never falls below his ears. He fingers the worn cover of his book. Ponyboy didn't ask him to help him. None of the boys in this room have hair that ever touches their ears. Each fingers the folded back corners of the book. But Ponyboy was dying, Colton dares. His parents played Scrabble when they were both in graduate school and didn't have any money. So, and he didn't even kill the right guy. The other guy had Pony underwater. Dude, the boy with the perfect blonde hair turns his book face down. The corners fold over. He presses, deepening the creases. How do we even know he was trying to drown Ponyboy? Maybe he was just giving him a bath. Oh, come on. Less conviction this time, though. A third boy, also with hair that never touches his ears, flips the pages of his book as if shuffling a deck of worn cards, scanning the pages as if he missed something there. I think you need to stand up for your friends. I have family, the blond boy says with conviction. He rolls the paperback in his hands. A corner flutters. He grimaces slightly and bends it back. I don't need to hang out with thugs. That was the last line. And then
Nice.
the other kid too.
Hair that never touches their ears. I love that
Mhm.
detail.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
Thanks for that's easier than
Yeah.
trying to explain what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stefan, can I tell them about your request to write a story,
Oh,
write a
sure. Yeah.
panel story?
Yeah.
Stefan has a cool Substack going right now where he wants to write a collaborative story.
Oh.
So if you check out his Substack, I should put a link in it.
Yeah.
I'll send it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. The
But
premise
it's kind of
is people write a different section and you just kind of build off what somebody else had before. I did this one time maybe 20 years ago, but it was on like an online message board and like we would submit something to the person and they would post it. And it was really fun because it's almost like a soap opera. Like it ended up being like that. Like it's really hard to like wrap something up, but you can close off some smaller loops you've seen before. But we'll see how it goes. So
Cool.
yeah,
Sounds fun.
I'll send it to everybody because we're just about to hop off. But I just thought that was so fun and we should drum up some because I know Bill and Leah do regular writing that might
Mhm.
be fun to add to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I did that once before with one other person, with a script, and it was a lot of fun. Like it got really weird, but also
Yeah.
they thought that I was genuinely telling them that I loved them, and then our relationship got really awkward. So
Wait, did you
Okay.
turn it into a romance, Leah?
no, it was like a sci-fi, almost like iRobot kind of a thing. But he was like, "I love you, robot," and I was like, "No, no, no, no." It was really weird. It was a long time ago. Anyway, that's an embarrassing story. I think that Nina and I should also maybe do a little promo for ourselves real quick. We are opening up, well, I'm sure everyone on here has read at least one of our craft essays that we've done weekly through the practice of writing. But we're opening it up to have people submit their own craft essays to us because that's kind of what we're all about is promoting the practice of writing. And we want to hear what you're passionate about and what you think other writers could benefit from. So we have that on our Substack and we have the submission portals within that. And you can go on there and submit your work to us and we pay you. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
$10. $10.
Then I was going to leave it at that. No, but
And
it's
there's
still
no
Double digits.
submission fee.
yes, it's free for you to, and then you're published But you're also welcome to use your essay for other things too. So we don't like grip onto it like some places do.
Mhm.
Cool.
Anyway, something to
That's
think
that's
about.
exciting.
Yeah.
Do you want to mention this coming Tuesday as well?
Oh, we also have open mic on Tuesday, which let me just drop the sign up sheet into the chat real quick because we have a few slots open still. And yeah, it's about 3 minutes or less per person speaking. And it'll be super fun. And I'm slowing down my speech so I can find this. Okay. Chat and boom. Okay. Oh,
That's okay. I just
both
put it
the
that
same
that
time.
was that's Stefan's Substack, the story together.
So yeah, we're doing our open mic at 7 on Tuesday, the 9th, and it's super fun. We had a lot of fun this last one, so you should join us.
Yeah.
Mhm. And we might just sign you up anyway. Just joking.
Yeah.
We do
Or even if you don't
that.
want to read, you can always just come and support people that are reading. It's always nice to have an audience. So
Yeah.
I think
Cool.
that's everything.
All right, that's fun.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Bill, for bringing us this piece. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
tell Chris thanks for coming.
I will, and I did. I will again. I probably ruined any chance of ever getting in smoke long now, but
No, I think the
No.
Wait,
opposite.
was
either
was that
improved or
was that the guest? Was that the author?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah, that was the author, and he's also the he's the editor-in-chief and publisher of Smoke Long Quarterly.
Nice.
But I think
My
that
white
he fell asleep,
whale.
I think he fell asleep in the middle and his head hit the keyboard and he got logged off. That's what I'm choosing to imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, you guys like just met him kind of.
I
You met
know.
us a
Yeah.
little
I
smiley
mean,
called Zoom
we're
user.
best
Zoom
we're pretty
personality.
much best friends now.
Cool.
All right, guys.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Good
Good
to
to see
see
you,
you,
folks.
Nice
Angela.
Bye.
Bye.